and Ron and all the other people, Mike, who worked so hard to build this network and make it work. You know, Christian radio, commercial Christian radio is just not easy. It's not the first one that the big advertisers step up to say, oh, yeah, let's sponsor that. In fact, there are many advertisers who won't come on Christian radio because they don't want to have to explain to their board of directors why they bought Christian radio. I'm not kidding you. I'm serious. Big companies. But anyway, Army Brad's here, and I see that you're supporting Planned Parenthood.
No, I'm supporting
one of the biggest donators to Planned Parenthood, Pepsi-Cola.
Okay.
I think he's supporting an addiction.
I'm supporting having something liquid going in my mouth that doesn't cause me to get any fatter than I have to.
I have some ice water here. That's what I drink every day is ice water.
Or tea.
Little tea. Only ice water, though. Yeah. Lamar tells me that tea's not good for when I work out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Coffee's okay, tea's not. You know about that?
No.
Oh. He also told me that decaffeinated is terrible because of the process that it goes through to decaffeinate, that it got a lot of chemicals in it. So I shouldn't drink anything decaffeinated.
So what he's saying is almost everything is bad for you.
Yeah. Lamar would tell you that. Yeah. So anyway, but I have been amiss in working out the last couple of weeks. Brad's been gently reminding me, like with a text this morning, I'm here.
So he's being a thorn on your side?
No, he's not.
I'm just a little blinking light off to the side
he's
that
been
helps
nice.
him remember.
Lamar's a thorn. But, you know.
Or a dagger.
That's why God brought me to him. That's why, you know the story, right? That's why God brought me to him.
Yeah.
I could also help you out there, too. I am training for those marathons.
That's right, you are.
This summer, so.
Yeah. Do you work out anywhere?
I work out at the Waukee YMCA and different places that I can.
Okay. Well, here's a workout for me. A very large thing of water, my iPod with earbuds, and an
You were close.
elliptical.
There you go.
An elliptical machine. And then when I get done with that, I go on that little sit-up machine that you push, and it's real easy. And then Lamar
it can be harder if you put more weight on there.
No.
He's not on a machine. He's just on.
Oh, okay. All right. I understand.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Lamar has me on these like 30 other machines doing all this, and I really hate that stuff.
Like a circuit training?
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you, Mac, don't do anything that you hate. Do those two things that you like, and then find another thing that you do like, and do the things you like. And maybe at some point you'll expand back into those that you don't like now, but if you don't like them, don't do them.
Okay. Well, the listener doesn't care about my exercise program. So what the listener cares about, and that would be you, is doing God's will and talking about it. And this is a different show than most shows on this radio station. Most of the shows on this radio station are hosted by preachers or teachers or pastors. I am the president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club. I am neither of those. So what I like to do is I like to sit here in the pew and bring in men and women who have a relationship with Jesus and just talk about some of those things that I think if you had a chance to ask your pastor or ask Clayton or ask Army Brad or Father Tattoo or whoever it is, that you'd ask them those questions. And these are the questions you'd have in a Bible study. So that's what this show's about. And if this is your first time listening to it, thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. Give us an hour, then send me an email. Tell me what you think. My email is easy. It's Mac, M-A-C, at McCoy, M-C-K-O-Y.net. All right, and we're being produced today by Dave, who is somebody who's being trained by Father Tattoo, which is just a joke. It's like the blind leading the blind, you know?
That's not fair to the blind.
Yeah.
Is that an insult to the blind?
My grandmother is blind.
She is?
Yeah.
But I haven't figured out a
job.
nickname for Dave yet. I've got to come up with a nickname. Today it would be Funny Hat Dave.
Yeah, it is a funny hat that he's wearing.
Yeah, it is, but I'm not going to do funny.
He
hat.
probably
Gamer
thought that
Dave.
was part of
the
the
hat
job.
does say Halo. And
Oh,
that is a
game. Are you a gamer?
Gamer Dave.
No. Okay. I'll come up with something. We'll come up with a good nickname. All right. So my guest today is Clayton Kmet. Kmet?
Yes, sir.
There's no reason you should have heard of him. He's not famous. He's not a pastor or a
Yet.
preacher or a teacher
Yet.
yet. He's actually a railroad conductor. a real live railroad conductor. Do you wear the little funny hat and ask people their tickets?
No, we don't carry people.
You carry product.
Yes.
Okay. But I met Clayton in one of my Bible studies, and he's just a smart guy. I mean, he just knows his stuff, and he's got a great walk with the Lord. So I bugged him enough that he came on the show today, and we're going to kind of treat him like he's one of the pastors, and I've got all those questions that you folks email me, and I always ask people that. So that's what we're going to do today. And if you'd like to ask Clayton any questions, or me, or anybody else in the group, of course, you can always jump on the phone lines at 1-855-244-0077, 1-855-244-0077, or you can jump on the chat, which Mr. Montserrat, the cat in the hat, is watching the chat. What are you doing?
I figured that if they ever look at us, that I have to get closer to Bob. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Trying to make
Also,
life easy for Dave.
We can preface that smart guy comment with that is pretty much depending on who it's coming from, really.
Well, we'll find out at the end of the thing.
Yeah.
You got a Chicago Bears shirt on, so that's a good start.
Yes.
That's a good start. So, all right. One of my favorite questions to ask people is for you to say whether you agree or disagree with the following statement.
Okay.
Tolerance is a characteristic of a man with no convictions. Tolerance is a characteristic of a man with no convictions.
I disagree with that.
Do you? Yeah. Okay. So at what point do we tolerate things that we are convicted against?
What point do we tolerate things
Yeah.
we're convicted
And I'll give you an
against?
example. My number one, what would you call it? Passion on abortion? I mean, I just despise abortion. I think we're going to get to heaven and God's just going to say, "What were you thinking? What were you? It's genocide, Mac. You know, I'm going to be standing right next to Hitler, and Hitler killed all the Jews, and my country killed all these babies."
So are you saying that he's going to hold you responsible for that?
I think that God holds Americans responsible for what our country does because he gave us the greatest country on the face of this earth, and we are free. We are a republic. We get to vote for our leaders. We have a responsibility. And if I vote for a senator who votes for abortion, I gave that senator the power to be there.
Yes, but if you voted for another candidate and enough people voted for the other candidate, you know, I'm saying that not just your vote
I understand.
is counted. So there may be elected officials in office that you don't agree with their policies.
I just, as an American, I take responsibility for what my country does. So I've got a new host coming on Webcast One Live, not on KTIA, on webcast1live.com. And we have two rules for shows here: no swearing and no hate speech.
Right.
I've got bleeding heart left-wing idiots who come on here and talk politics. I've got Jewish people who come on and talk. I mean, everybody comes on this platform. I'm a big First Amendment guy. This guy comes to the table. He's got a brand new show he's going to do. I really have been trying to get this guy. And one of his primary sponsors at big bucks, we're talking big bucks, is Planned Parenthood. And so I had to decide. There it is. Tolerance, characteristic, a man. One of my convictions is if I could put Planned Parenthood out of business, I would. There are some days I think I'd go to prison for doing what some people have done to Planned Parenthood abortion clinics. They just make me so mad. It is horrible what they do. So if I let Planned Parenthood have a presentation or a platform presence on my station, am I letting my convictions go and being tolerant because of the money issue? Well, we decided no, that we would not let Planned Parenthood on. Yeah. So when it comes to tolerating my conviction, or when it comes to my convictions and what I'm willing to tolerate, I don't have tolerance for Planned Parenthood. So that's kind of the point. I mean, if you're dead set against a
certain thing, whatever it be,
if you're dead set against that,
do you tolerate it?
Yeah,
I would say no. You can't. I mean,
you just changed your answer.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, if you believe. I guess I when the question was originally posed to me, I had thought about, there are limits to
How far you're willing
how
to
far
go.
how far you can take things. I think before, God gave us all our choice to choose how we want to do things, and I respect the people that they made a choice. It may not be the right one, but it's a choice they made. So I guess it's the level of toleration. But if this is my show, or like in your situation, this is your show, you're not going to tolerate that stuff.
Well, but okay, and when the decision's already been made, we turn it down. And I'm not going to put dollar figures out there, but what they were willing to bring to the table is a moderate salary for most people. Anyway, so that's the point of that conversation.
Okay.
And I love talking to people about that because we stand up and we pound our fists and we say, I wouldn't tolerate that and I don't like that, and then we're confronted with it and we fold. And people that are in the gun control battle, people that are in the gay marriage battle, people that are in so many other battles in this country will tell you that as Christians, we usually fold. We usually quietly go to our corner and pray because we know our salvation's great. We know we're going to be in heaven. And I guess if we're going to have gay marriage in Iowa, then I can't do anything about it. Or we're going to have abortion, blah, 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 blah. And it's happening right now with the healthcare situation. I mean, do you realize Hobby Lobby, okay, is a Christian-owned company? They don't even open on Sunday. If they... And they're refusing to do Obamacare because they're not going to pay for abortions and birth control. They just don't agree with it. Their fines will be a little over $1 million a day.
That's
now you can't survive that as a company.
No, especially because it's not a juggernaut company.
Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do if you're Hobby Lobby, Bob? You tolerate it.
Well,
because you're not going to give up your company.
It's $1 million a day fine.
Yeah,
is what it comes down to, and they will go out of business.
Right.
If they can't get a stay on that.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Well,
you have to do what's best, I think, for your employees, the people, that are dependent on you. I mean,
I just get the biggest kick out of this. The older I get, because I've been a political talk show host most of my life, and the older I get, the more I laugh at liberals. Because why should I have to pay for your abortion and birth control? And the liberal says, well, that's your religious thing, and those are your morals, and that stays out of it. And then I say, yeah, but it hurts me. It morally hurts my heart. Well, we don't care how you feel. Next subject. Okay, gay marriage. Well, we feel that anybody who loves anybody should be able to get... Whoa! So your feelings count and mine don't?
Yes, Mac. The answer by them is yes.
Yeah, the answer from a liberal is
yes.
yes.
If you listen to them, they're the most intolerant people on the planet. But
Clayton Komet is my guest today. We're having fun. It's Friday, 15% more fun. Maddie is not here, so it'll probably be like 13.8% more fun. New producer Dave, Father Tattoo in the building. I'm coming back, and I hope you are too. Live on 99. IA, Iowa.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money-back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
21 minutes after the hour, and we have a new producer, and he's not a permanent producer for this show. Father Tattoo will remain our permanent producer. But Father Tattoo is training a new young man because we're getting a lot of new shows and we need more producers. And let's not say this is his nickname yet. Let's just throw it out there and see how it feels. Bob Montserrat came up with a nickname for Dave.
Oh, no.
You ready? King David.
King David.
King David.
Didn't really have to try very hard for that one. we swinging low at the fences here, or what?
Hey, how hard do you think it took me to come up with Father Tattoo, Mr. Painted Arms?
Well, the tattoo was
Chest,
a given,
back,
but the
legs.
father thing was weird.
Well, but you're in seminary.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Wow.
not a Catholic. I'm not in a Catholic seminary.
Well, there's fathers other places than Catholic, Episcopalian.
You have children.
I'm not Episcopalian
You
either.
have children.
You're not referring
About
to
to
that.
have 3.
I'm on Christian radio, and you're calling me a father. That's not what people think of.
Well, Christians need to have a better sense of humor.
Well, this
That's
is
true.
this is
Yeah,
a
I
fact.
agree.
It's why I allow it. Now I changed it a little
Why?
bit for my show and call it Papa Tat. But
Papa Tat, that's right, you do. Okay, so we're going to play with King David and see how that comes out. But don't let that go to your head. And if my microphone's turned off on me one more time, we're going to call you Queen David, okay? I'm just telling you. All right, Clayton Kemet is our guest today, and Clayton's just a guy in my Bible study who really loves the Lord, and we have great conversations with Bible study, so I asked him to come in today, and we're kind of going through some of the questions. If you guys come up with a question, feel free to slam in there, Brad. All right, here's another one. Do you think that natural disasters are sometimes, never, or always God's punishment for man's sin? Do you think natural disasters are always, sometimes, or never God's punishment for man's sin?
I thought there was going to be easier questions. I would say, sometimes.
Okay. Leaning more towards always or leaning more towards never?
I'd say more towards always.
Okay.
Sometimes I think there are some times that I think a natural disaster occurs so that,
God makes
God's
them happen.
plan. Yeah. God's plan. We don't know it, and we can't assume to know it. But I think sometimes during a natural disaster, you'll see people change and the greatness in people come out. And sometimes I think that sometimes happens instead of because of our sins and some of the things going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that happens to help change people more than the sins. I mean, they're still involved, but that's why my answer is that way.
Here's something that I've always, or something that I realized from our Wednesday mornings Bible study, and it is what a lot of times people in the moment take as a disaster or a tragedy. In the bigger, longer, fuller context of what those incidents are, even though they're tragic, are blessings that you just can't see at the moment. Like the people that are, still suffering from Hurricane Sandy. 20 years from now, they're going to look back, and because of that tragedy, it's probably bringing marriages together and all these different things that when it's taken back and showed them what was really important in their lives, between husbands and wives, between fathers and children, between mothers and grandma, all those different people. When they get a chance, years and years from now, they'll look back and say, you know what, that saved us.
Yeah, in that situation, Sandy, hurricanes, things like that, you could look at it as, and maybe the area and a lot of the people were, we had a brief discussion before we went on about idols. They had their hearts and their minds in different places. And then something like that, like you said, Brad, can really change a person's outlook.
Well, and I've said this on the show before, and I have theologians and pastors and people that I really respect take ombrance. That's not the right.
Close enough, Matt.
What would be the they take exception to it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. And that is that I really don't think that God cares about our life. No, let me back up. God doesn't put the same value on life on earth as we do. Even those of us who have a salvation to Jesus and know where we're going, we still value this life because we can't see beyond it. I think if God takes 100 people and they die during a natural disaster, I think God thinks, I'm bringing them home.
And what are those 100 people?
Thing.
What do those 100 people think? That would be interesting to know too. I mean, we can't because we're still caught in this world. But if you were able to ask those 100 people that ended their life here on Earth if they're in a better place or not, so like I said, in our context, those are 99 of them are blessed, and there's one tragedy.
No, I don't believe anybody sitting next to the right hand of God's going, I think I want to go back to Des Moines. I really miss Orlando's pizza.
We had a guy here yesterday that said he wouldn't.
Yeah. All right. So, because, there's a lot of people that'll argue with you. When Pat Robertson says, the hurricane down in Louisiana was God's way of, what did he say? It was
causing people to repent and turn to him.
Yeah. Yeah. It was because of the sin that lives there. People went freaky on Pat Robertson. I mean, he's weird. But if God is a sovereign God and he's in control of everything, and if he sends that hurricane in and people die, he knows they're going to die.
Calling them back home.
He did it in the Old Testament all the time.
All the time.
So, all right. All right. Next question. Where am I at here? Why do you think Jesus had to die on the cross that way? Why couldn't he? Why just behead him? Or why did it have to be so dramatic?
Well, going back, Jesus took on the sins of the world. I can't remember exactly. Did he sweat or cry blood in the garden?
When he was praying, he was sweating drops that were like
sweating
blood.
Drops of blood. The sin, he took on the sins of the world. It was so great. And I think that part of that was kind of almost like I don't know if I'd classify it as a cleansing of that sin on his way up to the cross, or hauling the cross up to the mount. It also, I think, is God's way of kind of emphasizing the point.
Sure.
Like to make it more notable and recognizable. And I think, you know, if Jesus had been assassinated, then there wouldn't have been
Right.
as much of a turn towards him.
Yeah, I wonder if God. I can't wait to talk to God. I wonder if God knew. Now, hey, Calvinists, listen to this, because
He knows everything. You know
he knows
that.
everything. But I wonder
right.
if God knew that the cross would become the visual representative of Christianity.
Yes.
I think he'd have
Yes.
to know.
Yeah.
Hey, Why do you say that? Just because you're a Calvinist, you think he knew everything before it happened?
But he does.
Almost every Christian thinks God knows everything. Very few would argue with that. So whether it was foreknowledge or he ordained it would be a more valid conversation to the Calvinism part.
Okay, so Paul, encounters Jesus on the road, and it has this massive conversion, and he looks down, and he takes 2 sticks and a little, they didn't have wire back then, did they? Rope or whatever, and vine, and ties it together and wears it as a necklace. And God goes, oh, Paul, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Yeah.
Well, he couldn't do that because he was blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was blind.
Yeah. Well,
So he
and
felt it?
again, God, I would say God not only knew that it would become a symbol, but ordained it. I'm fine with somebody trying to argue foreknowledge in that case. I mean, it's trivial parts of a theology we're talking about at this moment. But yeah, God.
It's
God was,
important to me.
I know, but I'm saying that I'm not going to split that hair
I'm
between
going to be a
foreknowledge.
little trivial today because I'm Father Tattoo.
I'm just trying not to split unnecessary hairs because almost every Christian in the world would agree that God knew this would become a symbol.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
So you don't think man multiple times changed God's mind. So you don't think that man could surprise God with something and he goes, oh, cool.
no.
No, I don't either.
He didn't even really change. I mean, he changed. He said he was going to do this. They repented, and then he didn't do it. It's not that God really had a change of mind like a you or I would. It's a way of wording it so that we can understand what it would be like. Just because God does something doesn't mean that when it translates to how we as humans understand it, it's exactly how that worked.
Well,
Yeah,
I bet Chris Roloff would agree with me.
Well, and then going back to that deal of crucifixion,
Yeah.
that was the Roman way of dealing with their enemies.
Well, and it was called out in Old Testament.
But
Yeah.
that's what the Romans did.
Yeah.
And it was a way of a real suffering. I mean, they wanted people to suffer for a season, and they wanted the crowds to witness that as a deterrent for being, a criminal or whatever, or a political person. So that was considered the worst type of death at that time. So he went and had to deal with the worst type of death.
And Mac and Isaiah, you know that prophet Isaiah. You play him every Christmas.
Yes.
There is references to the cross.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. So God not only knew it but ordained it. I think we can pull that pretty clearly out of Scripture.
Well, that's before the foundations of the world. The other thing you were talking about, changing the Lord's mind. Amos has that. Amos 7.
Now, I'm not talking about changing his mind. I'm talking about surprising him. Well, I guess I was talking about changing his mind. But with the cross thing, I always look at that big cross that we have at Hope, and I think about how that's become the symbol for Christianity. And I just wonder if God even cared that there was a symbol for Christianity. He doesn't like idols. And I suppose a lot of people, especially a non-believer or even more a dangerous atheist, could tell us that cross is an idol, that we worship a couple pieces of wood.
Well, I think if, and I haven't found it in Isaiah, we'll look it up some point. If the cross is, ordained as that is what Jesus would die on, be crucified on a cross, then I think it's not so much an idol, but it's a reminder of Christ, because we worship Christ and he suffered on the cross.
Yeah.
So that cross is just the symbol that reminds us of who he was.
Yeah, it's interesting. My wife is a preacher's daughter, and I don't know if I collect crosses, but we have a lot of crosses hanging in our house. she won't allow me to hang a crucifix in the house. Now, I have one in my office, but as an Episcopalian growing up, we didn't have blank crosses. We had crucifixes. And she looks at a crucifix and just thinks that's horrible.
Well, and that's kind of what we're getting into, and he kind of alluded to it. Some of these things, it's not an idol if it's not an object of veneration. The cross, we don't worship the cross. We worship the Savior that died on the cross, and that's the distinction.
All right, we're here on a Friday with Clayton Komet. It's 15% more fun on Fridays. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, Army, Brad, Father Tattoo, and King David. We're all here live for you, and we hope you enjoy the program today. On 99.3 KTIA, powered by webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Fight the good fight on a Rebels Cause Radio, Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on a rebelscause.com. A Rebels Cause Radio is edutainment.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
The only way we come to know the Saviorship of Jesus Christ is by bowing and acknowledging that He is Lord and King over all the earth.
Jesus Christ died on a cross, paid the penalty for our sin, and by repenting of our sin and accepting Him by faith, what He did for us, we are forgiven.
Salvation is not a combination of faith and works. Salvation is by faith alone in God.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. We're the ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 3:38, 22 before the top. Salem Radio Network News, and then Michael Mudloff with
True Blue.
True Blue, thank you. Why do I get stuck right there? Is your show premiering tomorrow on KTIA at 6 o'clock, or does that take a couple weeks?
It is February 1st. We replaced the king of Christian talk radio, Todd Friel and Wretched Radio, on Saturday nights, 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Rebels Cause Radio.
So, and that's February 1st.
February 1st.
Yeah,
coming up fast.
One more week.
And speaking of February, no, I can't be February 1st.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
I know I am.
On
it's not unique.
The 31st of February. No, 31st of January.
February would be tough to find 31 days in.
Yeah, that's true, Clayton. on the 31st, which is a Thursday, from 11:45 to 12:45 or 1 at noon, at Incredible Pizza, we start the Truth Project. So if you've never taken the Truth Project, or if you've wanted to take the Truth Project, try to clear your calendar for 13 Thursdays. We may not do it the week of spring break, but we're going to do the Truth Project. And if you've never done the Truth Project, it's difficult for me to tell you or explain to you what it is. It's kind of like trying to explain to you what orange looks like. But go to thetruthproject.org or just Google it, and there's a little 4 or 5, 6 minute video that will run, and it'll tell you what the Truth Project is. Is anybody here taking the Truth Project?
I have not.
No.
I haven't, but I'm thinking about it. It's just I have to figure out.
Work?
No.
The redhead.
The redhead.
All right, he's in love with the cutest little redhead. She's about 6. No, 5? 3? 4. Okay. All right. Clayton Komet is my guest today. He's a brother of mine in one of our Bible studies, and I like the way the guy thinks. And so I thought I'd have him come on today, and we'd run through some of the questions. Now, here's one of my favorites. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you, Clayton, have a relationship with the accuser?
With the accuser, as in Satan?
Yeah. The mean guy, the dude guy.
You got to slow down and think about this.
Yeah,
the pitchfork guy.
I think
the horns guy.
I think I definitely am tempted, and I have sinned and will sin.
But do you have a relationship with him?
Well, we'd have to define relationship. I mean, he is
I have a neighbor that lives
behind.
What?
He's an enemy of mine.
Well,
I guess
so then
that
you
is
have a relationship with him, I would say.
I have a neighbor who I do not like, and it's mutual.
Yeah.
And I don't talk to them. I'm courteous if I see them, but I'm not fake. I hate fake people.
Yes.
Hey, how are you? Nice to go see Christmas. Mine 2 grandkids. No, we just don't.
Yes.
But we live in the same neighborhood with an association. Okay? And so we have a relationship.
Yes.
And my point in that question is, it was a real growth for me when I realized that I have a relationship with the accuser. He is not something I'm trying to run from or hide from. He is there. It's like a mother-in-law.
Well,
you got to deal with him.
That's a great point, and that's why I think each of us, if we don't think we have a relationship, we need to start thinking that we do, because
if you don't think, you're in a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
Because then
Bob doesn't think he does.
That's when it's not the big temptations.
Yeah.
It's the small ones.
Yeah. But you disagree with that, right?
Well, you don't usually associate negative relationships. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Boy, you're a lucky man. I've lived 53 years, and I've had a ton of them.
Yeah. Well, you see it as a negative thing, and you don't want to have anything to do with him. So if you say you have a relationship with him, then that, to many people, they would think that, you're buds. And you're not. You're opposed. You're definitely opposed to each other. So it's just how you look at it.
I don't even agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I don't think we're opposed to the accuser. I think he's like a lollipop. I think we all want him. And every time we turn around, walking in here today, I thought, well, I had lunch with my son-in-law at about 10:45, and I walk in and I'm hungry, so I was going to go to Palmer's and get a sandwich. Well, I don't need 2 lunches. I barely needed the one.
Lamar would tell you different.
Yeah, he's always there with us. He's like lint in our pocket. We cannot shake our pocket clean enough to get all that lint out.
Yeah, but if you resist him, he's supposed to flee from you.
I know.
But he will come back.
My guy doesn't run very fast, let me tell you.
He lives next door.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Clayton Komet is our guest today. We're just running through some questions, having some fun. Do you believe in predestination?
Predestination yes, I do.
Okay.
I think everything has a purpose. Looking back at my life, seeing, and I've even mentioned this to my soon-to-be fiance, is that if I hadn't gone through and made the mistakes.
That really makes you sound like you're not a very committed guy. Soon-to-be fiance.
I don't want to just come out and say it.
I understand.
She might be listening.
Girlfriend.
Well, she knows. Yeah, my girlfriend.
Love of my life.
Love of my life.
Better half.
Absolutely.
Ball and chain.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
But if I
So now you can let her watch or listen to this.
Yeah.
He's okay.
I had told her that if I hadn't made the mistakes that I did and wanted the things that I wanted when I was younger, and I had a marriage that it didn't work. And if I hadn't gone through that, I said, I would not appreciate you like I do now.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
So all of it happened for a reason. I made those choices. God let me make those choices. And it was all en route because she brought me back, coming back to church more.
Okay.
And then it led me to even to here. It led me to
this program.
Yep.
Men
our
Inspired.
Bible study group.
Okay.
And led me to this program.
Okay. How about predestination and the fact that God knew you would follow Christ? He knew you would come to him.
Well, I think he knew I'd come to him eventually, but he still leaves the choice up to us.
Okay.
As when we choose to come.
Okay.
You'll see how many people will not follow Christ and
right.
And,
now you disagree with that, right? Speak up. We don't understand head bobbing on radio.
Look, if I have to unmute my mic, that means I got to put my feet down.
Now look at
it takes some time.
Yeah, it takes some time.
Lazy.
The head bob. No, I don't agree with that. But that's
so
okay.
you think that the moment you accepted Christ, God had that pre-planned from the millennium?
I think the call of the Spirit is effectual. Yes.
Okay. See, I have to hang around with Calvinists.
Such a dirty word, Calvinist.
Well, see, if you look up Calvinist in the Funkin' Wagnall, it'll give you the correct definition of a Calvinist. But if you look up Calvinist in a Calvinist dictionary, it says always right. I just wanted you to know that.
I didn't say I was. I don't believe I have the market cornered on truth. I'm just saying that this is my understanding, and I see it through Scripture, and I haven't been proven wrong in that sense to myself, but to other people, sure, they don't believe that. So I mean, if he doesn't think I'm right about it, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I can still be his brother.
Okay. How did you gain salvation? What did you do?
I was raised in the church, in the Mormon church, and I guess I was baptized in the Mormon church, and I think a baptism is part of gaining salvation, but I think it's not set yet. I think we still have to apply, and I keep working towards salvation. It's something that I don't think that I've gotten yet, and I don't know if I ever will. I think it's something that I have to keep working on and keep diligent on to gain salvation. We had discussed before in Bible study about knowing and application, and I could talk about it when we come back.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that because I disagree with you. All right, we're here on Friday, one segment left, and then you got the whole weekend ahead of you. Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat. Army Brad, Father Tattoo's here, but he's doing nothing, so he's really not here. And our new producer, King David, and our guest is Clayton Komet. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you, right here on The Truth. 99.3, powered by webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I know. He turns the camera on early, turns the mic off.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
10 before the top, Salem Radio Network News, and then Michael Mudloff with this day's version of True Blue. Clayton Komet is our guest, and we had to cut him off. You're no longer in the Mormon Church.
No, I go to Lutheran Church.
Lutheran Church of Hope, yeah. You left the Mormon Church right after high school.
Yes, shortly after high school.
All right. There are no right answers, but you've already told, or you can already tell that I have an idea of where I think. Let me tell you about what you were talking about with salvation. And remember, I don't know anything. I'm the president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club, and I hold that title
with pride.
I really do. I really do. And someday I'll tell you the story behind that. But when did you receive your salvation? To me, the answer is when Christ died on the cross. Okay? Now, when were you born again? When Christ died on the cross. When did you realize you were born again? There's the testimony. Okay?
Okay.
But I believe you have salvation, and I don't believe you can lose it. The only way you could lose it is by your choice of just looking at God and saying, I'm done with you.
Denouncing God.
You don't even exist, or if you do exist, you're
Yeah.
So that's where I would not argue with you, certainly not argue, brother, but just say, well, because my salvation, if we do believe in predestination, happened at the foot of the cross when Jesus was hanging there.
I like your point. I'll share a little story about, we had talked a little bit about my family earlier, and this kind of harkens to your point about how it's never lost. My father died when I was 13. He had left when I was a day old. Very bad man by social standards, and obviously didn't attend church and just did some really awful things to people throughout his life. Now, I was angry as a youth, but eventually, as I got older, I said, well, I'm sure he's up in heaven and he's learning from what he did. And then when I had my son was 2 years old. I still remember this. I had a dream. I was riding in a car and we're looking at the mountains, and it's a Cadillac that my father liked to have, convertible. And we're riding. Now, keep in mind, he had been dead 15 years at this point. We're riding along, and we're not saying anything. We're just enjoying the scenery, enjoying the drive. And then all of a sudden, we're in my home, and I'm holding my son, who was 2 years old, in my arms. And he looks at me, and he reaches out his hands, and he doesn't say anything, but he asks to hold my son. And at that moment, I remember making the choice that he had seen some of the error of his ways. And this would have been my father's first biological grandson. So I said, of course you can hold him. You're his grandfather. And then I watched as my dad played with my son, and my son was laughing and playing.
Wow.
So, and then I woke up and I just felt like a euphoric feeling.
Yeah.
So goes back to what you were saying. even after we're taken back, sometimes I think, and I don't know if it's the years that God had to teach him, you see what you did wrong here? You see this, and then all those years later, it was my choice to also forgive him.
Did it surprise you that your father had accepted Christ before he died?
I didn't spend a lot of time with him before. I guess it did surprise me, like in the the little contact I had with him, and then all the stories that I'd heard about him and some of the things he had done. So it was a little surprising.
Okay.
But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. We're running out of time here, so let me scroll down and find a couple of really good ones to end this up with. Okay. Brad, you got it? Bob, you guys got anything while I'm scrolling here?
What do you mean good ones?
Yeah, good question.
You mean we haven't had good ones since we?
Well, I think
some quick ones. You mean?
Yeah.
You better hurry.
Would you rather go to a church that's a cruise ship or a battleship?
Oh, battleship. We got to fight Satan.
Okay. Is non-belief a mental disorder?
I think it's a choice. I don't think it's a mental disorder.
Because sometimes I like to describe, and this is certainly not biblical. There's no proof one way or the other in the Bible on this. But when you get your eyes checked and they put those different lenses in front of you to figure out the perfect thing?
Yes.
I think that there are some people, and I call that the God filter, and that one day in your life when you recognize your salvation, that filter drops down, and now all of a sudden you see everything through God's eyes, and you're just different inside. Okay,
spiritual blindness.
And I think, I think
Saul, Paul.
I think there are some people who that God filter hasn't dropped yet, or perhaps they weren't born with it. They don't have it, and they will never ever receive salvation.
That's an interesting theory. I think some people haven't had the opportunity, like the work some of the churches are doing in Africa. Some of the people haven't had an opportunity to learn about Christ. And I think us doing missionary work to give them. So, but I think as far as not believing, I believe it's a choice that they made due to whatever circumstances they put in front of them that they kind of want to see. They want to not believe.
Yeah, I mean, I have lots of friends who are atheists, and I tolerate them, and that sounds terrible. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound terrible, but I'd much rather not hang around with them, and it drives me crazy, not in their non-belief, but that they get so angry about a God that they don't believe exists. I mean, why don't they get upset about unicorns? It just. Yeah. And so I look at some of these atheists sometime, and I look at them, and I think, you've got a mental disorder. It's not your fault. It's like you'd look at is retarded a word I can say?
No, I think they've changed that now.
Okay, but it's like you'd look at a person who's emotionally and mentally handicapped, and you'd say, it's not their fault.
See, Mac, the other thing is nobody believes in unicorns, but a lot of people believe in God. So why fight about something that nobody believes in?
I believe in unicorns. I believe in them.
They just didn't make it onto the boat.
That's right.
The ark.
That's right. They didn't make I like that.
Actually, the Latin for unicorn is rhinoceros, and we still have those today. So
true.
I believe in unicorns too, but Mac is a huge fan of unicorns. He puts them on his Facebook all the time. It's really awkward.
Did you put one on my Facebook again?
Not today.
Father Tattoo has a habit of when he finds my Facebook open, that he puts something. All right. Father Tattoo, thank you. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary with your show and on your announcement that you and your lovely bride, Dawn, are expecting your 3rd child.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. King David, pretty good job today. Thanks for being here. Clayton, thanks.
You're welcome, Mac.
Come back.
I will.
We had fun, didn't we?
Yeah.
Bob Montserrat, have a great weekend. Army Brad, have a great weekend. All I ask you, I need you to do something for me this weekend, though, please. Would you just do one thing for me? One thing this weekend. Just one thing do for me. Pray.
You.